Well, another night on the road traveling around for that work project. We finished that up at 7 or 7:30 last night, I guess, and headed out pretty promptly and made our way down to the absolute middle of nowhere, Wyoming again, west of the Bighorn Mountains. And this is the site of a historic mining ghost town from back in the day. And there's not too much left here, but we're going to look around a little bit. I tried to camp here once about 5 years ago, but it was in the spring and it was super muddy, and maybe 6 years even, but it's been a while. But it was super muddy and I wasn't able to find a place to park. I wasn't afraid I'd get stuck. So there are some ruins around here of the ghost town. I think might be some up on that hill over there behind me. So we'll look around a little bit. There's also an old cemetery from the town, and evidently, if you go up that way, up the road, there's a couple mile or two, there's some old mining tunnels that are still there. I don't think either one of us is interested in diving into mining tunnels, so we'll probably be skipping that part of the tour, but BLM is a BLM site now, and they do know the tunnels are there, but they do actually recommend using caution because they can be unstable. So we're going to go ahead and finish getting some coffee and maybe breakfast or whatever. I don't know. And eventually we'll meander around, see what we can find here. Then we're going to start making our way back towards Gillette. We have to do an alternate route because of some serious, pretty good bit of snow that's happened in the last couple of days. Not like massive accumulations, but really nasty road conditions. And so I don't dare to try and go over the mountains again. So we're going to try something different and go a more southerly route, which is going to add some time, but I also have other computer work I get done this week, like finishing up this inspection report and some video editing and other things. So we'll be making our way back, but going an alternate route. And we might be on the road one more night. I'm not sure we're going to get back today because it's just a bit of a ride and I have work I have to do. So we may be on the road one more night still. But for this morning, we'll look around here at this ghost town. Turned out to be a really nice day to go do some exploring here around this ghost town and some other cool sites I think we're going to see as we make our migration in the van in a little bit. Beautiful day now, sun shining, it's gorgeous. Last night was a bit nippy, got down to about 15 degrees out here, but we did fine in the van, and looking forward to actually getting back over to town where we got some stuff stored so I can put the new batteries and the new heater in there, because that'll make it a lot more comfortable and pleasant when we're out for longer trips and we run into some seriously sub-freezing temperatures like the last couple of nights have been. So we're standing here in the town of Gebo. We're out exploring. You can tell this is a happening, thriving place. Well, it was once upon a time. Gebo was one of many mining towns that sprung up around the American West here. And like so many of them, eventually people moved on. I did not find out exactly what happened when I was doing some research with this one, but usually what happens is the mines play out and it's just not worth staying any longer. There's no work here, no money to be made, and people would just leave. This is pretty cool. There's all these houses are all in a row. They're all would be considered tiny homes by today's standards, but you know what? They work. They were adequate. It's bigger than the trailer we live in. It's bigger than the van we travel in. It's bigger than the apartments that people have in many major cities around the world these days. But they're all built out of stone, which I'm sure was local. They're all kind of similar construction. A lot of them have full basements. I've seen at least one that does not. And this one over here, if we come over to show you, is interesting because this one has a wood-framed floor, although there's nothing left but the framing. But in the back, it is just a grade level, at grade construction. But in the front, there's actually a crawl space type cellar. And, you know, this is before refrigeration and electricity even. So they would have had needed a way to store their food. And a great way of doing that, if I can get through these prickers here, is down here. Now this building looks like somebody, either they built it on a stone foundation or rebuilt it, or this is poured concrete around the edges. The rest of them are actually stone foundations that are mortared. I do see some stones in here, so it's possible this is just a parge coating over an existing stone foundation. So this might have been one of the later ones to go, but it's pretty interesting. I always love finding stuff like this. You can see some of the boards they used, that they were the floorboards on top of the floor joists that were, sort of solid. But timber is a little bit hard to come by in these parts. So, which is why you see a lot of the stone construction. So it also, again, makes me think either this was later. It's also bigger than the others. So this was either a later construction or was like some kind of special place that really was worth putting some money into and you know, having stuff brought in on, probably on wagon trains. So a really interesting site. We camped just down the hill last night and then made our way up this morning. I was going to come up to the ruins last night, but the roads are pretty sketchy, and with a high top van, you know, we get those off camber things in the dark, and I didn't want to mess with it when I couldn't see what I was doing. So it took us 2 tries this morning. We had to reroute once and find a slightly safer alternative. Incredible scenery all the way around though. And I think we're about, if my memory's right, 10 or 12 miles from Thermopolis, which is right to the south there. And Thermopolis is an interesting little town known for hot springs and Hot Springs State Park. So we're going to be passing through Thermopolis in a little bit as we make our way around the southern side of the Bighorn Mountains to miss all the snow and ice that's up there right now. Snow in the mountains, you can see snow in the mountains over here. So we're going to make our way around the southern side of the mountains. More to come though. Thermopolis is a cool little town. And then we're going to be going through the Wind River Canyon Scenic Byway, which is an incredibly scenic canyon with some cool tunnels and everything. Cool spot. Nobody's been looking around. I had the drone up for a bit to try and get an aerial view. I don't know, the inspector and the building inspector, property inspector, keeps looking at these buildings more and more. This bottom stone looks like it was sandstone, and it's actually eroded quite a bit. And then you can see in the walls here how thick they were. So these would have been, you know, fairly energy efficient if you kept them cool or kept them warm. Trying to change the temperature would probably be a bugger. I do see some concrete parge coating inside on these walls too, which is interesting. This one does not have a foundation, or a basement rather. It's just a stone foundation around the 4 sides and no. But cool spot. I love finding ghost towns, and you know, being a native Yankee, both of us really, out of the Northeast, man, it's so wet, and the land is things are so compressed that anything that gets old and decrepit just gets torn down and something rebuilt in its place. And the rare time something does just get abandoned, it rots within a few decades and there's nothing left of it. So one of the cool things about the American West is the climate's drier and you have all these crazy places where towns were and then just got abandoned because the mine played out or the railroad went a different route, and you know, the people just left. Really cool finding these. So hope you enjoyed seeing these scenes around Gebo, the ghost town here in Wyoming. I am shocked. I had no idea there was this much out here. The bit I read about it, I thought it was quite small and only a few buildings, those ones on the ridge. So it's actually a pretty cool ghost town. I hear that train a-coming. It's coming around the bend. All right. I think the train went to Kirby, not Gebo. I think it might be part of the issue too. But lots of sandstone up here. Now, this looks like it might have been a shed or a root cellar or something like that. It's kind of dug into the earth here, but well, I guess it could have been a cabin. It'd be a pretty small one though. Well, this up here, this is actually a timber frame construction. That's kind of built into the sandstone rock formation. Nowadays, it seems to be used a lot by cows. I don't know if that was always the case. This may have been a barn and a pasture. I see kind of fence posts going around. Some of them are even iron pipe. This is really neat. We may have to come back here again sometime because I think we're missing stuff probably, because I did not know there was this much out here. That's what happens when you do your research online, you know, because everything on the internet's right. Yeah, I thought this was a really small site. This is pretty fascinating. If I was inspecting a shed or a barn with this kind of structure, though, I might have to call some of it out. I mean, I love how it's built into this alcove here, and it's obviously stood for very many decades. But they got support posts just sitting on the rock up there. Very cool. Very cool. What a hoot. Like stepping back in past, boy. Stepping back in the past. You know, song, it's a beautiful morning. It is gorgeous. Cold, cold night, but it is gorgeous this morning now that we're getting into late morning. The sun's shining, and it's just beautiful weather. Beautiful day to be out here in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, exploring a ghost town. Oh yeah, this would have been the end of us in the van, huh? We might have got down it, but we wouldn't be getting up again. Kind of always the thing when you're selecting your adventure vehicle. There is no perfect vehicle for every situation, or even every time in your life, every season in your life, or every season of the year, for example, like when it's winter and you're in the mountains and it's snowing on you. Something a little more capable for driving around primitive roads like this, or deteriorating primitive roads like this, and you're not nearly as comfortable to sleep in or work in or whatever like that. So always trade-offs. Good sized structure here once upon a time. This one's got a concrete foundation too, so these had to be a little bit later than most of them. Partial basement too. Of course, this is rattlesnake country, but we're kind of assuming that they're all hibernating for the year because it's been so cold. This is This is paper. There was a bunch of paper left in here, like newspapers or magazines or something. And there's like seriously degraded remnants. All the junk in the old basement, huh? There's actually a door to the basement over there, so this part of the house would have been just been framed across it. We actually see this periodically in like 100-year-old houses when we're doing inspections and stuff, and there'll be part of the house will have just like a 6-inch or 12-inch gap under it that you can't possibly get into, and then there'll be, you know, a foundation or a basement under part of the house. So it's kind of interesting seeing ruins like this, because usually there's still a house on top of it when we see them. A couple little wood framed windows there. Pretty sure there's a couple gas tanks out of old cars out there. That might be a car seat, I'm not sure. A couple car seats in there maybe, as in vehicle seats. Huh. All kinds of stuff in there. An old water heater. Very old water heater. Built better than the modern water heaters. This is cool. What a sight, man. I just had no idea. I always wonder, I just can't help but wonder when I find these old ruins like this, I just have to wonder what life was like, what the sights would have been, what the smells and sounds would have been, how exactly things worked. Now, everybody's gone and have been for many decades, and it's basically populated by free open range beef cattle and some rattlesnakes maybe, and coyotes and owls, and that's about it. We haven't even seen deer or pronghorn, but you might see them around here sometimes, but just some wild animals, and the people are gone, and you just wonder, there were lives here. Apparently the Gebo Cemetery is around here somewhere not too far away. I don't know if we'll find that today. I'm not sure exactly where it's at, but I have a feeling this is a site we'll come back to again when we've got like a day to spend just exploring. So my understanding from researching this was that this was all there was, and I thought there were actually only 2 or 3 or 4 buildings. So there's more than that there, and then there's all kinds of other stuff dotting the prairie around here, and I did not know all that was here. And it's not really marked or anything. It's just, you just got to wander around and find it, and you see something in the distance and go walk over to it. So I think we'll be back to explore some more, but a really cool place in the meantime. Gebo Ghost Town in Wyoming, middle of nowhere, Wyoming. And the road is a little rough getting in, but it's worth the experience for the rough road. So I've been calling this Gebo, and that is the town site, but it's officially what now is known as the Gebo Crosby Coal Mining District in Hot Springs County, Wyoming. They have some cool photos of Gebo in 2005, 20 years ago now, and the Owl Creek Coal Company Mine Number 1 in Gebo, Wyoming. So we'll show you those. The story goes, coal mining began in this area in the late 1880s when Henry Cottle, John Jones, and Dad Eads located mine prospects in what later became the Gebo Crosby Coal Mining District. In the summer of 1889, the Jones Mine opened as the first commercial producer in this district. Originally part of the Thermopolis district, the U.S. Geological Survey designated Gebo Crosby as a distinct mining district following dramatic production increases. The Jones Mine later became known as Gebo No. 1 Mine. Non-existent in the 1900 census, the towns of Gebo and Crosby, 1 mile to the south, were vibrant communities by the time of the USGS survey in 1907. So that's kind of typical of a lot of these mining town stories, where they just exploded. The minerals were discovered, the town exploded, people moved there, and it happened very fast. One generation later, in 1938, mining in the area had largely ended. The town site of Gebo and Gebo No. 1 Mine lie before you. We were guessing 40s or 50s maybe when this was abandoned, so the mining had pretty well wound down by 1938, so we might have been spot on that. The BLM and the Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality, Abandoned Mines Land Division, have worked to reduce the hazards associated with these mines. This area, like all old mining areas, may contain unidentified hazards. Please use caution if you walk off the existing roads. Please respect adjacent private property and do not trespass. So there's a little information, not a ton. I tried to find some from BLM's website this morning, thanks to having Starlink, because there's no usable phone service out here. And they had very little information on their website too. So it's kind of unfortunate, because it's a really, really cool site here. And I'm telling you, to have that view out my front yard every day, I'm telling you, it's amazing. Just incredible.